it's tough, even as, as a man who's working through his own stuff, to be able to zoom out and take that 10,000 foot view and say, okay, where are we at in this journey? And what is most important throughout this process, and making sure that we have that perspective. And when we lose it, because we're humans, we understand how to repair that, right? And that could be, me, I got really upset with my son after a rookies coach pitch game because him and the other team started jawing each other, going at it. We'd played against this team for a couple years. They're 7-year-old kids or 6-year-old kids, right? That's totally normal behavior. Yeah, I want to get my point across to my son that sportsmanship is important. Yeah. But in that moment, my ego took over, right? And I'm yelling at a 6-year-old kid while my 4-year-old son's sitting right next to him in the back of the car. And I see their eyes start to well up with tears, and I'm like, this is.
And the 6-year-old wasn't in the emotional state to receive what you were saying anyways.
Yes, the car ride home.
Even if you were saying the right thing, it was not the right time because he couldn't receive what you were saying. He was still too emotionally invested in what he just did.
100%. And we've just finished a book on the car ride home, just 10 principles of the car ride home, because you and I understand how important this moment is. And I like to tell that story because, number one, I blew it. I'd already started this company, and I'm out here pushing this message, and here I am in the car losing my mind on a 6-year-old kid about sportsmanship. And I got home, I talked to my wife.
The irony of that, like, I'm going to yell at my kid about being a good sport.
Yeah, which is, number one, are my emotions regulated, right? It could be on the sideline, could be in the car. It could be anytime we have a conversation around sports. If my emotions aren't regulated, the message is going to be lost. And the timing of it, like you mentioned, is crucial to understand that the car ride home is not about correcting mistakes. It's not about coaching your kid up. It's not about fixing something that went wrong that day. It's about building the connection, focusing on their emotions, and allowing them to speak if they want to speak on this stuff. But having that boundary and respecting that boundary, that they don't need coach, they need dad, or they need mom, or they need, primary caregiver in that moment, just to build a connection. And as they get older, this evolves, these conversations evolve. But we put our kids in school, and then we stick them in, organized sports after school, and they're overstimulated as it is. And in that moment, we're trying to get a message across that really isn't going to land.
Yeah. That car ride home, I was just doing an interview before we started recording, and we talked about the car ride home. And what I always say is the car ride home is the worst place for unrequested feedback, period. That doesn't mean it's a bad place for feedback. It's a bad place for unrequested feedback, meaning our kids have to be who are in control there. And we have to set aside our desires as parents to get those feelings and emotions out of us, and instead elevate what our kid needs in that moment. Some kids are going to want to verbally process in the moment, and they're going to but let them ask the questions. Some kids, they just want to put their headphones in or listen to Spotify or whatever, and they just want to switch gears. Some kids, by the time they're done playing, that's over. What's next? Like, what are we going to now? Where are we eating? So it's the unrequested feedback that's the issue. Like, we have to be mature enough to set aside what we want to talk about for a time when they're available to receive it. And that takes emotional maturity on our part that a lot of times, if we're honest, we don't necessarily have.
Yeah, and I think every parent experiences that in one way or another. And I loved how you highlight unrequested feedback, because there can be great conversations that happen in the car pertaining to what happened out there on the field. But it's got to be led and driven by your child, not by you. And those emotions that we feel in that moment is raising our own self-awareness to, again, this is my whole therapeutic journey. When am I triggered? When are these emotions starting to come up for me? And being able to process that in the moment without projecting it onto my child. And being willing to revisit that moment at some point in the future and like, what really came up for me in that moment that I needed to force this conversation down my son's throat and led me to reacting the way I did in that story with the car with my son. And being able to make peace with whatever it is that you're carrying with you, and then be able to acknowledge as you move forward, you're not going to be perfect, but man, the more that we can be aware emotionally in those moments, the less harm and less damage we're going to do to our relationship with our kids.